Okay, we're back with Dr. Jim, and the main theme of this conversation is going to be how to be awesome with just a 28 kilogram kettlebell. And
Just a 28.
that's it, just one. And before we do, we were jamming behind the scenes, which is always fun. And the thing that struck me about that, Jim, is I don't know if you're this way, but and this isn't going to be entirely complimentary of myself, but I'm somebody who kind of lives on the extremes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like I love reading dense, technical, academic books, and also just totally trash born novels. I'm somebody who really enjoys like the grungy gym, neck tattoos, guys beating each other up, and like very traditional Latin Catholic mass.
Yeah. We're the only two, man.
And it just sounds like that's kind of what like you were getting at. I'm like, yeah, like that's big, right? Yeah. It's a one or like my wife actually said this the other day. She's like, this kind of annoys me about you. My wife is very direct. I appreciate it. She's like, when you say something, it's either some of the smartest stuff I've ever heard or absolute puerile nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have two gears. You have two gears. That's it. Right?
That's it.
The ridiculous and the sublime. That's it. Yeah.
There's no middle for me, man.
There's no middle. Yeah. I mean, I have that all in, all out personality, right? Which, is really cool if you're writing a book. It's really bad when it comes to liquor, right?
Right.
I was having a good talk about this with one of my sons who's definitely all in, all out guy. I'm like, this will be your great strength, son, but this will also be your greatest weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I too have lived my life in kind of like two worlds, right? So I came up like, I basically went to college to play football, right? I mean, if it wasn't football, I'm not sure if I would have gone, right? If it wasn't football, yeah. And then, for my whole life, I have felt pretty weird in the academic world, right? Like kind of a weird outlier. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, I would be probably more comfortable talking to Dan John than his equivalent in the academic world.
Sure.
Still that, not that Dan's a dumb guy or dumb jock like that, but that athletic background was really my first way of being in the world. And then,
And then, no, I love this theme, the all in, all out. I mean, that's something I have, right? And there's some kind of disorder wrapped up in that. Like, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Like OCD, there's some neuroses or something.
Addictive personality.
Right, addictive person, which runs in my family. So it's not, which again can be a tremendous asset if you're trying to do like serious work, write books, produce music, just be creative. But it can be a serious detriment, as has run in my family. Like my family just has a long string of alcohol, drug abuse, all that stuff.
Exactly.
So it's something that I'm going to be very much on the lookout. Have been even with my kids, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, not my first order family. I think the buck kind of stopped with my dad, but further back, there's definitely alcoholism there, right? And for me, I found when I turned 40, I found even just like a couple beers, and I had really enjoyed drinking for my entire life before, but even just a couple beers or like a single glass of scotch, I'm talking like 2 days after I'm depressed and like self-loathing. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, we're done with that one. We're done with that. Yeah. So I don't touch alcohol at all now. Not that I have no qualms about it, right? But it also correlated with me getting really ripped too.
Yeah, but you've figured out for you, and this is what I tell people is like, hey, moderation is a great tool for some people.
Yeah.
And for other people, you just need complete abstinence. And like for me and for some things, that is definitely the case. Yeah. It's just like, I can't even dabble around with this a little bit. It's just, it's just nothing.
It will wreck me. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about the deadlift last time. Very similar, right? Yeah. So I mean, okay, I'll go like floss around here, right? So, the Aristotelian notion of moderation is so abused. Okay, so when Aristotle said like the key is the golden mean is moderation, he didn't mean a little bit of everything.
Yes,
he meant
he didn't mean like
the appropriate amount for you, given your strengths and your weaknesses and your station in life and the goals that you're particularly trying to achieve. It's a relative mean, he calls it, right? It's relative to the individual, their station, their goals, their strengths, their weaknesses. And he gives the example, if you're a wrestler, and I take it, in ancient Greece, there weren't weight classes, like the big guy just killed the little guy, right? And he said, then you should eat a ton of food, right? Okay, like gluttony is not a lot of food for the wrestler, right?
Yes.
Okay, but he says if you're a gymnast, it should be very little food because we need to be very small for that, right? And so what is gluttony is going to depend on that person's place in life, right? And for me, I realized like gluttony with respect to liquor was going to be pretty quickly any at all.
Right. Yeah. Right. Spot on. No, I'm glad you brought up our good old friend Aristotle here. Just got off the phone with him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And the golden mean too can be closer to one extreme than the other, right? Like whatever courage is, it's probably closer to recklessness than cowardice, right?
Yeah. Or of course, also like depending on the person, but yeah, it's gonna, like the courageous person runs away from the right stuff and fights the right stuff, right? But if you're Pat Flynn with your black belt in Taekwondo, right? You're right. Okay. That's going to be different from, your lowly average citizen. Right. And so it's going to vary. Right. But probably it's going to lean, courage is going to lean a little more towards, getting after it than running away from it. Yeah.
Mortimer Adler said one of the things somebody asked him like for one of his best piece of advices. And he said for philosophy students, and I think I've come to appreciate this more and more. He said, read the Nicomachean Ethics 12 times.
Yes.
And I don't know why it needs to be 12 times, but
yeah, I like that. No, I mean, I tell you that is the Nicomachean Ethics. If it's sort of if you gave me one book, right, that might be it, right? Sort of everyone says, what's your absolute minimalist kettlebell program, something like that, right? What's my absolute minimalist philosophy program? Nicomachean Ethics.
Yeah.
Right. That would be it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably with you on that.
Yeah, and that's one, where I probably read that book every year now because in teaching ethics, right? And I'm never like, oh damn, I'm gonna have to read that one again.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy to do that one every year. There are others I would rather not ever read again, but
yeah, there's a lot that I would hope to never read again.
But on the all in all thing, I was talking to it was actually my grown son. Man, that's weird to say, but anyways. And he's definitely like me. He's an all in, all out guy. Right. And we were talking about, it's actually fitness stuff. And, he said he realized he was kind of behind where he wanted to be on some certain things for some goals and standards he has. And the way he dealt with it is he just went at 100%, absolute strict diet, absolute over the top running, throwing in kettlebells, throwing in all his calisthenics. And of course, after a week, the thing fell apart, right? While he's like going to school, almost 24/7, all this stuff, right? And his takeaway was, you just can't fix everything all at once. And he said, he kind of identified as an all-in guy. I want to fix everything all at once, right? And actually, I went Pat Flynn on him. I said, no, you're going to be a generalist, but that means a short-term specialist, right? And you're not going to, maybe like the fitness side of this, you can't fix as much as you want to now. So you have this other thing going on. But over time, you'll address all those things and get B+ in all of them. Yeah. So I think in a lot of ways, the generalist as short-time specialist is a very, very Aristotelian notion.
Oh, well, that delights me to hear that. Right.
Yeah.
always happy to have a family resemblance there to people.
And especially for like borderline OCD types like us. Right.
You have to be able to identify it and rein it in. It's this kind of conundrum in fitness and dieting, especially because you kind of have this chicken and egg issue where people will say, oh, don't do this diet because it leads to eating disorders. But the causal connections there are not very clear, right? It also very much strongly seems like people with disorders kind of tend towards or manifest towards fitness and eating. Now there is evidence to show that if you kind of like traumatize your body enough with a certain regimen, it could create disorders as well. So it's kind of a little column A, column B type of thing, right? But certainly if you already have this type of personality, you need to have a certain degree of self-awareness so you don't fall into that.
Yeah. And one of the things I find too, it could just be like the way my intelligence works or maybe a lack of intelligence, right? So, my wife, Jen, is a super, super bright person. Okay. And she can kind of dabble in something and really get it. And then she can dabble in other things and really get it. Okay. I can't. I have to like go all the way down and I have to like rifle shot that thing or I won't learn it. Right. Yeah. Okay. And then I can like get that in a holding pattern and move to the next thing and rifle shot in that. Whereas, you know, I see it in my wife and other people I know who are super, super duper scary, smart people. They can kind of get stuff at a pretty high level with a little bit of engagement. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, but if I'm going to get it, I have to do it every day, reinforce it every day, every day, every day, every day. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Similar,
we shared seem to share a similar number of attributes there, Dr.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, all right. So you've been playing around with Kettlebell 1, huh?
I have. I love Kettlebell 1.
Let's hear it. So let's talk about how to be awesome with just a 28 kilogram.
Yeah. And so, okay. So, you know, I want to say this for the gentle listener. You didn't send me Kettlebell 1 and say, you know, review this and I'll put you on the air. Right. Okay. So just in our conversation, it came up and I started playing around with it. And I think it's really, really swift. I think it's really great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And just like kind of in your basic setup, you know, like I can see how it all fits together really well. Like what you're doing in one day complements what you're doing the next day. And you know, so the overall structure was really cool. Okay. So I did the 3 workouts I did, okay, I'm gonna forget the dates, but it's the one where it's 30 minutes, every minute on the minute. For minute 1, you do 10 swings. Right. I did those like 5 each hand. Right. Yep. The next minute's 10 swings, 5 each hand. And then it was, then you do anywhere from, 6 to 10 presses, right?
It's kind of a floor and ceiling range there.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did 3 presses on each hand for that. Right. Just because the time, I really wanted 2 to 1 work to rest when I did it.
Yep.
If I went more than 3, and if I really did the press like high tension, it was getting close to 30-30, not 20-40, right?
Pushing it, yeah.
Yeah, so I did that one. I did the snatch ladder alternating with Turkish get-ups, right? And then I did, just this morning, I did, I think it's all in the first phase of the program, or the first set of weeks, is I did the 10 swings, 8 rows, 8 goblets, 8 rows on the minutes, right? I did the whole 28 minutes there. Okay. So before I get into 28 kgs, so I love these. Okay. So I love workouts. I even hate to use the word workout. I like drill. I like Pavel's old drills, right? Yeah. Drills. That kind of teach me a little bit, right? That cue me to do some things, right? And the first one, the 30 minutes of swings and pressing. I mean, that when you started out, it could be a kind of depressingly long time, right? You know, but man, you just start chipping, and just focus on getting perfect reps, and then you get that flow going, right? That flow going. Yeah. You know, so I came away from that one really feeling like, yeah, you kind of showed me like, look, don't worry about the 30 minutes, worry about this minute and getting these swings exactly right, and just get them right. You know, then the next minute, get these swings exactly right. And then like these presses exactly right. And then do it again. Yeah.
That's really cool to hear, Jim. I appreciate you sharing that. There's something special about the kind of like 2 to 1, like explode grind pattern too. That I really like. And I also really like, cause 30 minutes can seem intimidating at first, but there's also something I think helpful and freeing in a sense if you kind of have the floor and the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth, even if you feel like you don't have to vary the reps, I would encourage people to at least try doing it. Like, hey, one set, all right, maybe push more towards the ceiling, but another set, shoot, you know, go more towards the floor. So you kind of have this, this kind of wave throughout.
When I got to the end of the 30, if I wasn't going to train jiu-jitsu that night, I think I would have gone 45.
Right.
Yeah. It was just fun. The rhythm was great. You know, maybe start clipping some 5s on those presses now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's cool. No, I just did a repeat something. Instead of presses, I did dips. I've been big on the dips lately. Works well with that.
Yeah.
Too. But just and at 28 just feels, it's just the money bell, you know?
It was the money bell. And so I came out of that workout. I did that in the morning. So I did a 20-minute kind of dynamic yoga on it thing. And then I fed right into the 30 minutes of your thing. And that night on the mat, I was a holy terror, right? I had a really good 50-minute workout there, right?
Right.
I love it. Checked a lot of boxes, could be exploded. We grounded out, right? Got a little cardio in there, right? All the boxes are checked, and I'm still, you know, grandpa can still, you know, kill people that night. Right?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Right? With his bare hands, right?
With his bare hands, yeah. And then exactly. And then the next one, the snatch ladder with the get-ups, okay. While I was doing that, I was like, what else does a grappler ever need to do for a workout? Right. Okay. Or probably any martial artist, right? But especially a grappler, because the TGU is so good for that. Right. And that one, it was because I had to suffer the insult of working out somewhere besides my home, I had to use a somewhat lighter kettlebell, right? But I tell you, I did my mobility workout first, went through that thing, done in like, 45, 50 minutes, right? And felt 100% and you look at it, it's a ton of work, but never was I huffing and puffing through that whole thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yep.
So, by the way, for the gentle listener, Kettlebell 1, that was released last month. And as the title implies, it's just one kettlebell.
One kettlebell.
For the entire program. And it doesn't have to be 28. Let's back up, right? So we say 28. I say 28 is kind of like the money bell for the quote unquote experienced male user. I would say something around like 16 kilogram for most females.
Yeah.
But for Kettlebell 1 and we're putting out Kettlebell, get this, Jim, Kettlebell 2 this month.
Nice.
Yeah. People can probably guess what that one's about. You don't have to start with a 28, but what I tell people is whatever bell you start with, you stick with for the entire program.
Stick with it, yeah.
Even
if it gets quote unquote too light, no, stick with that bell. Get everything you can out of 135.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. You stick with it, and then if you do it again, which you can, then you can change the bell weight.
Yeah.
And I've had to remind people that in the Facebook group because like it's starting to feel easy. I'm like, that's great because it's working, but you're sticking with the bell until you're done with this, right? Don't bump it up.
That's a great old Jim Wendler line where like people would just drive Jim Wendler, nuts with I want to increase my training max. They just can't stand that the training max is only like 85 or 90%. Right. And they would say, I just had this great rep max, right? I got to jump my training max up 20%. And Wendler's like, if you got stronger with your current max, why are you so quick to change that? Right. I mean, the reason the bell is getting easier is you're getting better at this.
Getting stronger. Right.
Yes. Let's maybe stick with that until we really need to make a change. Because otherwise it's useless wear and tear. Right.
Yeah. Trust the process.
Trust the process. So the last workout I did from Kettlebell 1, this was the swing, row, goblet squat, row combination.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because one, it complements, what we've been doing. Right. Mm-hmm. 2, I found with that thing is I really had to cue for all those movements to elongate my spine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whether it was the swing, the row, the goblet squat. Okay. So I'm doing that great, chin far from my tailbone thing.
Right.
Otherwise I'm going to get hurt doing those rows and stuff like that. I really found myself having to cue that, right? Which fit in with what I was doing mobility wise that day too, right? So there too, once there's the work you did, but I also felt like you really, to do those exercises, I had to cue this really good body position thing. Mm-hmm. And I had this great takeaway lesson from that.
Yeah. Well, just let me know where to send your endorsement check, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So thanks for letting me have that look at Kettlebell 1 because those are going to be in my mix. Those are going to be in my mix.
Well, happy to. So let's build on this theme a little bit. It's something that and Dan, it's always good to have Dan's agreement because Dan would definitely be in agreement here that there's just something special about the 28 kilogram. Again, like once you're kind of familiar with kettlebells, and what's so magic about it? Well, it's a great weight for swings. It's what I call a feel good weight for goblet squats. Cause obviously like squatting a 28 kilogram, like nobody's going to come hang a medal around your neck for that, but there's just something about the squats with that just feels good.
And why am I doing those? Why am I doing goblet squats in the first place? Am I doing goblet squats because I want to be quadzilla? Well, the goblet squat is not a good way to do that.
Exactly.
Right. Am I doing goblet squats because, I want to put 20 pounds on my max in a squat suit with a belt? No, because that's a bad way to do it, right? So why am I doing goblet squats? There's something else I'm trying to get out of these besides just blowing my thighs up or seeing how much weight I can move, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the main reason to do goblet squats is you will get some endurance and strength benefits from it, but it reminds your hips how to work.
Yes, exactly. And I have to fight like hell to keep the right position. So it's reinforcing this movement pattern, right?
Right.
It's working stuff in my upper back that I'm slouching at a desk right now that I'm wrecking. Well, do some goblet squats. Right. You got to be up like this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's postural, it's corrective, it's feel good. Yeah. Like you'll get, the other normal benefits too, but it really is, it reminds your hips how to work, helps your posture. And the 28 is like the sweet spot weight for that exercise. Mm-hmm.
And I will quote the coach, Dan John, on this, right? In one of his books, he says, if you don't think the goblet squats can do any good for you strength wise, go do 5x10 goblet squats with the beast and tell me how you feel tomorrow morning. Right. Cause that will be a good quote unquote workout to do that.
Don't underestimate how, a couple sets of goblet squats of 28, it'll bite you, especially if you're doing a lot of squats.
Exactly.
It'll definitely bite you. So it's a feel good weight for squats. It's a powerful, good weight for swings. You're pretty much going to get everything you want else into that. And it's, for most men, especially if you're not huge, like it's going to be a consistently good, challenging weight for your upper body work.
Exactly. Yeah. So on the swings, I think this is one of the great insights that, Pavel has brought to bear and some of these people brought to bear, in the kettlebell world is it's not necessarily the load, it's how hard or how much I have to contract to move the load. Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I might be able to get as much out of, in terms of explosiveness, the 28 kg, if I actually am able to contract hard and move that thing fast, as opposed if I'm swinging the 48 kg, which I'm, doing a glorified, high pull now, right? You know what I mean? And I think also with the grinds too, is what matters is how hard I contract to move that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now a heavier weight makes you contract harder, but if you can learn how to really max effort on that bell, right, you're getting a really good strength benefit out of that. Yeah. And if I don't have to load it as much and thereby take as much wear and tear on my elbows and stuff, why would I do that?
Yeah. So I'll put you on the spot here. Somebody comes to you and they're like, Jim, help me be awesome with just a 28 kg. What are you gonna have them start doing?
Okay. So, are they kettlebell 101 people or
let's assume they got the movements down. Their strength's pretty good. Like they can press it, they can swing it. So they're ready to start, operating with it.
Yeah. Okay. I would say, and if they just want program in a box, enter the kettlebell.
Yeah.
Swings and press ladders.
Always a go-to, right?
Swings and press ladders. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could put that, I hate to be redundant, but like you could do it in a way that we've been talking about. Like you could do the 2 sets of swings on the minute, right? And like give yourself a floor and ceiling. Like shoot, you could put the floor as low as 1 freaking rep. I don't care, right? And maybe 10. I don't think you probably need to go above 10 for the swings, honestly, for any set. And then
it's important to note too that Pavel does not have people doing sets of more than 10 swings, except for very rarely now, right? Like Simple and Sinister, it's all 10 reps. Yeah.
Right. So, and then you could just work the ladders every third set, right?
Yep.
Every third set, bing, 1 press, bing. Right, left.
Set 2. The clock, put the tool on the earbuds and just
the tool. Yeah. Any particular album?
I mean, I'm a Fear and Conium guy, but
Okay. Yeah. Tool's cool. Did you listen to their newest album?
Yeah. Isn't that the newest one? Or is
that the newest one? Sorry, I got it mixed up. The one that just came out like a year and a half ago, maybe?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I got to go back and revisit it because I listened to it when it first came out. And I'm like, this is going to be an album that if I listen to it a lot, I'm going to really love. But I need to listen to it repeatedly to
listen to Numa. Listen to Numa and think Plato.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Dig it.
Yeah. I mean, they left it in the Greek for a reason, right?
Right. Yeah. Sweet. Okay. So swing and press ladder.
Yeah. Swing, press, ladder. I mean, and of course you've always got the program little minimum, swing and get ups, right?
Right.
We're assuming we're doing someone who's like, they're kind of beyond that. Right.
Right.
And I find the overhead pressing does not have to end well for me right now. Right. Okay. And I find, the 28 really, I'm getting the pump a little bit, I have to work to do it, but also, it lets me concentrate on absolute max contraction, good form. Right. And after pressing the 28, I will come away feeling better in my shoulders than when I started. Right.
And that's key, right? Because if I start pushing the weight too much over that, and I haven't done it in a while, I don't feel better than when I started.
Right. Exactly.
And I like to be able to turn my neck.
Yeah, exactly. And, in the thing, if the 28, okay, you're like 160-ish, right?
Yeah. Depending if I have Chipotle for lunch.
Chipotle. Yeah. I'm 183. Right. Okay. So much bigger than me. Yeah. Your 28 is probably the 32. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Much smaller than you. Right. Your 28 might be, might be the 24. Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But probably, like kind of like middle weights, right. Where I'm like on the top end, you're probably on the bottom end. Mm-hmm. I think this is definitely the bell to look to. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Cause I think there's probably people who, have been doing this for a while, but they're skinny bastards, right? And
Yeah.
they might get folded by it, right?
Yeah, a few things have helped me become less of the dispositional skinny bastard than double clean and press with just 28s, right?
Yeah.
And just racking up with that. But again, if I start doing
now, I'm gonna feel like I got to buy another 28 now.
Yeah, and let's be frank, right?
Yeah.
You can be really awesome with just 128 kilogram in terms of strength, a fair amount of muscle tone, this or that. But if you want to put on muscle with kettlebells, I think you do got to make the jump to the doubles at some point.
Oh yeah, gosh,
yeah. But that's definitely not a requirement or even goal of a lot of people. I mean, I've actually been surprised, especially a lot of people who follow me, and I kind of appreciate this, how much more interested they are in just the strength and performance side than the aesthetic muscle side.
That refreshes me. Yeah.
It totally refreshes me.
Because the latter will be taken care of on the way to the former, frankly.
Of course. Right. So let me tell you, we think about this, because I was talking with Dan about this. I think warm up with goblet squats and jumping rope or something like that.
Yep.
Get the hips going, just feel good, and hangs, right? Just hangs. Yep. Then you do your swings and pressing ladders, and every once in a while, maybe you do your swing and pressing ladder on one day, and then you do one arm swing and Turkish get-ups another day, something like that. And then go for a walk or play some jiu-jitsu or something.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing more you need to do.
Right. That's it.
There's nothing more you need to do. Yeah. And okay, so I think an important thing too is what I like about the 28, or really, I mean, this kettlebell in general, is it's time manageable. Okay. It's good. When you said 30-minute workout, you meant 30-minute workout. It's going to take 30 minutes, right? Do you see what I mean? And this is something I've been thinking about quite a bit lately. This is one of my pet peeves in the fitness industry is you buy this program, it says, the 20-minute workout, busy person, okay, you only have 20 minutes workout. Yeah, well, you do that workout, and I look at them well, I would have to warm up 15 minutes before I could safely do that, right? You know what I mean? And maybe I need to put Humpty Dumpty back together a little bit after I'm done. Right. And if you're working on a commercial gym, am I really going to, how long I have to wait for the equipment and stuff like that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I like this. Okay. I got one kettlebell, one weight that pretty much isn't ideal for all of them, but it's good enough for all the movements I'm going to do. Right. And so now I can really manage this. I can really say, I'm going to get this done in a certain period of time. Right. Which is just, you're going to be more likely to work out. You're going to be more likely to get the stuff done. You're going to do the warm up you should do, right? Because this thing isn't going to take that long, right? And all this, right? I think it's very, very important. And that's one of the things why I think finding whatever your 28 is, right, is to find that and have that as a go-to. Any day of the week, I know, however busy I am, et cetera, I know the time it will take to do this because I can just pick up that kettlebell and just plug through 30 minutes of on the minute.
Yeah, I like that. I actually want to pick your brain a little bit about that because I'm a big fan, because you're somebody you got a lot going on, right? You got a family, you're teaching, you're writing a book right now. I want to hear more about that in a minute as well. You're playing a ton of jiu-jitsu. By the way, how do you feel when people talk about playing jiu-jitsu?
I think it gets something very right about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Right. Yeah. You're playing a lot.
We get together and we play murder with our friends.
Playing jiu-jitsu.
Strangling me.
Right. And you're working out. So one thing that I recommend to people who are busy is man, if there's a barrier to entry, you can just knock down. You have to do it. Right.
Yeah.
Because that barrier to entry will become the fodder of your rationalization.
Yeah.
When things get stressful, right?
Yeah.
And it could be something like driving to the gym, right? Or waiting for a piece of exercise equipment. Well, look, we can take care of that because you can have one kettlebell at home. It can sit right in the middle of, I'll turn the camera if you really want to see it, but right over there, right? Yeah. Right. Okay, great. That barrier is gone. Right? So just rock bottom, just as simple as possible, the fewest things that need to be in the way, just getting rid of them. I love your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
In not just in fitness, but in general, right? Because for me, this is a big thing that I need to constantly focus on because I'll rationalize like anybody,
Yeah, exactly. I think the more I have personal control, right, the less excuse I'm going to have, right? So let's say you've got this intricate workout planned, and the workout has to be, the back squat, right? And that's your whole plan. That's your whole thing. And you get to the gym and the guy is always, he's doing the curls in the squat rack. right? Okay, this happens, right?
Yeah. And like, if you're already tired, right? If you're already tired, like, oh, I didn't sleep well last night, and then the dude's in a squat rack, like, how easy it is to be like,
you were
well,
looking
guess
for an
it's not
excuse.
God's will today, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Whereas if you had, so there's certain workouts I have that are always in my back pocket. Like no matter what, I can do 5 Tabatas of calisthenics, period, full stop. Doesn't matter. Always. I can always do that. 20 minutes.
We kind of have this floor ceiling too. Like, okay, here's the ceiling. Like, here's like ideal sparkling. Like if I can do this, awesome. But like, no matter what, I'm going to at least do the floor. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so if I get to the gym, let's say I'm planning my back squat workout, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to waste all my time waiting for dude to get done with the curls. Right. Oh, I'll just go home and be fat. No, I'm going to do my 5 Tabatas, right, on calisthenics, period, full stop. I don't have an excuse because I have this in ready to go all times. I can always do that. I know my 5 exercises I would do. I know how to set my clock on that, my phone. Boom, no excuse, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be paralysis by analysis, right?
Yeah, like you need to have something
that go-to
on the ready that you don't even think about, right? And for me, like the 2-2-1 kind of swing thing is mine. And if like I'm just at home, and especially like, okay, energy's not great tonight. 2 of the kids were up, which is not infrequent, right? Because of my genes, the kids are not great sleepers, right? Definitely not my wife's genes. It's definitely mine. So like and like, that's just a reality of being a parent for a lot of parents. It's just like, people ask me like, how do you get good sleep as a parent, Pat? I'm like, I don't.
I
just don't. Maybe in 10 years from now, maybe that'll change.
You will. It gets better.
But I just don't. Right. But I try to factor that in. Right. Like that's just a given. Right. And so what I do is like,
what's moderation for working out for you now? Different than it is for me now.
Right.
Because my kids are all old enough. I can sleep all I want. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for me, it's like having that kettlebell and like, darn it, no matter what, I'm going to do swings on minute 1, swings on minute 2. And if nothing else, push-ups on minute 3. And that to me is a money routine, because no matter like how crappy I feel, like once I've done like 2 sets of that, I always feel better. I always feel better. Like maybe I won't go for a full 40 minutes, but it's like, movement begets movement. And because the barrier to entry was so low and I had like no way of rationalizing, my laziness, that's what you need, right? Sometimes you need to trick yourself into getting started.
For my, when I was at your stage of parenthood, right, my go-to 100 swings.
Yeah.
Right. And at that point I was like losing tons of weight and stuff, but haven't slept, we're loading the kids in the car or something. Okay. Give me literally like what, 2 minutes, and I'll take my 24 and just 100 swings, never put it down. Boom. Metabolism stoked. I did something. I don't feel like a POS, right? Let's go. Right. No excuse. Right. So right now where I'm at, it's like 0 degrees out. Right. And I'm normally a garage workout guy, big time. Right. But what do? I just moved a few very minimal pieces of equipment into my kitchen, right? So I've got my 28 kg, I got my pair of 20 kilograms, right? I've got a club and I've got a mace, right? I don't swing the mace in the kitchen, right? Okay. But, so I'll go to commercial gym now to do the mace, right? You'll get some looks, right? Okay. But I don't care. Anyway. But what I do, I took steps so that I don't have an excuse now, right?
Yes.
And it's just easy. I like it. It's easy buy-in. Very little capital spent on this, right?
Right. Yeah. So this is all part of how to be awesome with just 28 kg, by the way. Because
that's I do think you have to get to where you can work out at home.
I agree. Right. Like, so even if you prefer to not work out at home, like you need to have that contingency plan.
You've got that. Yep.
Yeah. 100%. Because 100%. I actually do prefer to get out of the house. Just if only because I'm in it so much, right? So I work from home, I do podcasts. So it's like, to avoid becoming a complete recluse. Like I need to get out of the house and stuff. But like it probably would be different. Like if I was in an office or out there, like I would probably prefer to work out at home at that point. But no, like I need to get out of the house. But a lot of times I don't and can't get out of the house. So I just work out at home.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so I like working at home because one, it like takes for me that ego bad decision making out of it to some degree, right?
Yeah, which we talked about last time.
Yeah, right? You know what I mean. And also it's sort of now, hey, no matter what. So the way I like to work out early in the day, and I like to work out at home because it makes it harder for somebody else to take it away from me.
Yeah,
Right?
that is great
Right.
advice.
Yeah. So if let's say I haven't worked out yet and I go in and teach, right? And I was going to work out over my lunch hour or whatever, right? And then, some student comes to my office door and is in a panic, right? Even I am not harsh enough to say, go to hell, I need to do my swings, right? Sometimes I'll help that person, right?
There's a crack. There's a small crack in the cold black heart.
Yeah, the Grinch's heart will throb just a bit, right? And so what happens? It's very easy because I put that workout off for it to be taken away from me, right? Or whereas if I had done that thing first thing in the morning, that's it, that's mine, right? And so I really learned this when our twins were babies, and I realized the only guarantee I could have to work out or read or prayer or anything like that, it had to be between 4 a.m. and 6. There was a kind of a window where there were most days, not every day, there was a kind of a quiet time there, right?
Yep.
Had to get done there. And since I've just kept that because now it can't be taken away from me.
No, I'm in complete agreement. In fact, that's my wife. She even more, because she's home with the kids, right? So she actually gives me very graciously the time that I need to get more of my projects done. But she knows kids wake up at 6. That means I need to get up at 4.
Yep. Boom. Yep.
And that's what she does. She
exactly
reads, prays, does the things that are important. So the point is here is like, if it's important and it can be taken away from you, do it early.
Do it early. Do it early. Do it in a place where no one can take it from you. Because like now, curling guy just took away your squat rack.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, why were you depending on curling guy to make a good decision?
right. And we know curling guy ain't coming to the gym at 4 a.m. Right?
He's not coming. Yeah, exactly. And so, if I, for a long time, right, when I was into powerlifting, I would always, if I was going to do a commercial gym on it, right, I was going to do it as early as possible because you could get the equipment then. Right?
Yeah. I don't know if this is the case for you, but mm-hmm. I definitely have my best energy, both mental and just all other sorts, physical, bodily, in the morning anyways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, especially like afternoon. I sometimes get a second wind, but rarely. But afternoon, I'm usually pretty worthless.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree to that. So my good hours are like between 4 a.m. and 9.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now I had I have a very, very good friend he's now a retired Army officer. And he had told me he had this trick, right? I think he learned it from some efficiency expert, that actually, if you're a morning person, what you should do is schedule all of like this is not Army doctrine. This was just like this guy's trick, right? You schedule all of the really, really, I cannot show up if I'm not prepared for this. I have to be 100% on time, et cetera, in the afternoon. Because that stuff, unless you're just completely you're basically quitting your job, right? You have no choice. You will show up. You're
going to do it.
You're going to do it, and you're going to do it well because you have no choice, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the stuff that you could put off, the variable stuff you should do early in the day when you're at your best because when
you have the willpower, right?
Yeah. And so for a long time, because I'm a morning person, but I would schedule all my teaching in the afternoon, right? Because there's only so many times I cannot show up for that. And
until Jim isn't a teacher anymore.
Yeah. But now I'm a full professor, so I schedule in the morning, right? Okay. So, right. But before I was tenured, I scheduled all in the afternoon because I had to show up, right? So I think there's something to that.
Wait, tenure might create a perverse incentive.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we could go on that sometime. Yeah. You talk about perverse incentive, a lot of them. Anyway, so I like that. It doesn't mean you take the things that are most important and schedule your best hours a day. Maybe you put them in your worst hours because it's going to make you get something out of those worst hours.
Especially if there's like a skin in the game or like some amount of neck on the line that you're not willing to have that neck chopped. Right.
Yeah. So if I didn't have that prior to the afternoon, how might I have spent the afternoon? I probably would maybe like playing, like Minesweeper on my computer, right? Or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Great game.
Yeah. Great game. Right. I may have really dated myself there. Right.
Minesweeper. Yeah. I was waiting for Super Mario Kart or something.
Super Mario. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That too dates, right? Yeah. But yeah. And so, but in one of my big, practical principles is the things that you want to do for you, you have to schedule them at a time when you don't owe that time to someone else. That's important too, right? Like, should I should my giving my homeschool son his math lesson be competing with my workout? No way in hell, right? Okay, so I cannot schedule that stuff at a time that I owe to someone else, right?
Yeah.
And I can't schedule a time when someone else could take it away from me.
Right.
So that means do it early before you're needed.
Yeah, I hope people are paying attention to this, because this is really good, really practical, and really important stuff. And you know, for me, it's interesting because like I don't have, you know, like I don't really have obligations to other people. Like I don't have a boss, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
I do only in the loosest sense, really. But
yeah. So, you know, for me, it's just like I definitely have obligations to like my family, right? Like at the end of the day, like I have an obligation to pay the mortgage, right?
Right. Yeah.
But like I could get away with a lot of crap, of my own crap, right?
Yeah.
So for me, like this thinking about this stuff is really important because through hard experience, I think I've developed a lot of self-awareness to realize that if I let myself get away with a lot of crap, I will, right?
Yeah.
So like if I don't do my workout first thing, and since nobody else in the world cares if I do my workout, I need to do my workout early, right?
You need to do it early. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. You know, and I think if you looked on paper at, you know, Jen and my lives, you think these people are going to be like completely stressed out messes, right? Okay, so Jen teaches part-time at the college here, right? She's you know, a full-time therapist. Okay. We have, you know, one grown son, but we have 6 total children, 3 of whom are currently in high school. And, you know, high school is grand, but there's a lot of like, you know, sort of time expense for us to go to their stuff and just managing things, right?
Yeah.
Plus we're homeschooling the 2 youngest yet, right? I teach full time, right? You know, and you know, but I'm still writing. Right, I'm doing this stuff. I'm podcasting with you, right? You know what I mean? And then the whole crew of us are like down to jiu-jitsu rabbit hole, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
which is so cool that you all do that together.
We do it all together, yeah. And so why are we not like a stressed out mess on the verge of divorce, right? Okay. I think it's principles like this, right? I think it's principles like this is like, okay, so I'm not gonna let my jiu-jitsu draw against these other obligations, right? Because otherwise I'm gonna end up quitting jiu-jitsu. Right. Like to stay in it, I'm going to have to limit it. Right. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to let my fitness draw against these obligations. Right. Et cetera. You know what I mean? But when I have the opportunity to do that stuff, bang, I got to do it.
Of course.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. And I think that's one of the, like that's kind of a key to like having a generalist life full of all sorts of cool stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Without wrecking your marriage and becoming a stressed out mess. Yeah.
And yeah. A big part of it is definitely want your thoughts on this, on like compartmentalizing and not just time, but I'm big on this. Maybe this is just me being weird, but I need to have different spaces for different activities. Right. So literally like 5 feet from where I'm at, that's a space where I play guitar and make and record music. And that's the only thing that happens in that space. This corner is where I podcast, and that's the only thing that happens in this space. Upstairs in my office is where I write, and that's the only thing that happens in that space. And that's different from where I work out. If I work out, it's over there. And that's the only thing that I do in that. The kids terrorize that space, but the only thing I do in that space is work out or at the gym. So I need to not just compartmentalize my time, but for me, like I need different physical areas too, that when I enter that area, like it automatically flips a switch in my brain. Like, oh, I know what I'm doing here now that I'm here. I don't know if you're the same way at all.
Yeah, I'm very similar. And probably if we looked at those spaces, there's all sorts of cognitive offloads into the environment there that appropriates you to those behaviors.
I'm sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I think that's a real thing. Like we have to have like most of our thinking is done like externally, like in interacting with a meaningful environment. Right. And all those environments are probably set up for those tasks. Right. And so you're less distracted because you're literally cognitively offloaded into a different world for each one of these things. Yeah, I'm very similar, right? I do almost all of my serious scholarly reading and writing in the easy chair in our living room under the watchful gaze of Bob the chameleon. Right?
We got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, I got to get Bob in. Next time we'll do it from the house, right? And I'll get Bob in. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, my you know, Jen says he really is my one true love now. So.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
the whole scene of the easy chair with Bob the Chameleon. Yeah.
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 And actually,
For me, I have my own easy chair where I do most of my reading, except for it's Lola the Saint Bernard instead
is
of
it
Bob.
really? Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, if I sit next to Jen on the couch, right, Bob gets pissed. He shows the angry colors.
It turns red.
And she's like, he's mine. Okay, so
That's
back off, lizard.
That's hilarious. How old is Bob, by the way?
He is approaching 2 years.
And how long do they live typically?
If we're good, he'll get 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's about as long as a Saint Bernard, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if we're good, right? But the attrition rate on pet chameleons, I'm told, is pretty high. But
yeah, well, it sounds like he's well loved. So
yeah, I mean, he has a full-time caretaker in me.
Good stuff. So yes, you got your reading spot. You're the same way with the. Well, I'm glad that you actually pulled it into the idea of cognitively.
And look at those. So okay, I don't. So I've got some kettlebells in the kitchen. It's really weird, right? Because I have to like all these setups and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas in the garage, I mean, literally, the kettlebells are ordered in the way I need them in like a typical day in the garage, or the maces and all this stuff. So I just walk in the garage, and there's no paralysis by analysis. My environment is perfectly, cognitively offloaded to like facilitate the way I work out, right? Bing, bing, bing. And think of how much time that's saving me, and therefore making it more likely to pull off the workout.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this is good. And this seems to be a common theme among people who are at least somewhat productive, this compartmentalization, swallowing the biggest frog first. And, I say like tricking yourself into productivity. And what I mean by that is having some type of floor, having some type of like minimum commitment, like happens with writing too. Like some days you wake up, you can't even form a single coherent sentence, but it's like, all right, well, I'm going to do a paragraph no matter what.
Yep.
And you'd get that done, and okay, I can probably do one more paragraph. But whereas if you were to start out and think like, I need to write an entire chapter.
Yeah.
Right. Then you're going to be like, nah, that ain't going to happen. Right. Yeah. So having some floor that no matter what, this is the minimum that I hit has been, at least for me, that's been a key to like keeping momentum going. Right.
My floor for writing is to edit yesterday's work.
That's good. That's good. That's
like
good.
I always like, okay. And this happens when you're working out. You're like, sometimes like you just feel like crap. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then suddenly you warm up and you have your best day ever.
Surprisingly, and and it's the other thing that I notice, I don't know if this is just me, is that sometimes I'll have my worst day ever in one area and my best in another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, so wow, I couldn't form a single sentence on the podcast today, but somehow I wrote like 2 chapters.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. I sent all my students home early because I was, stuttering and drooling, but man, I knocked out a chapter. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, just weird.
And so like a lot of times let's say I'm going to do just for an example, I'm going to do a pressing workout. Right. And I'm like, I feel like crap, but I really should do something today. Right. So, I just go and grab a kettlebell and I'm just going to do singles. What's wrong with singles? Mm-hmm. Right. There's always room for singles, right?
Of course.
And then all of a sudden you go through your, like you do like 5 singles, like, holy crap, wait, let's get a heavier kettlebell. And just something magical happens.
Yeah. An hour and a half later, you're drenched in sweat. It's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'll have this situation with the writing where I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I feel like there's going to be nothing there. I'm a little frustrated. I'm like, okay, just go ahead and proof the stuff from yesterday. Just proof the stuff from yesterday. And all of a sudden you're like, no, I'm not just proofing now, I'm adding, right? And then you get to the end, you're like, so I like that ground floor minimum. For me, writing it's always editing the prior stuff.
Yeah, that's good because it needs to be done anyways.
There's always a typo in there. Yeah.
Of course. Are you a right by the seat of your pants kind of guy, or do you like, I like to have a formal outline and structure before I take anything on? What's your approach?
I'm pretty structured.
You are pretty structured.
Yeah. I'm pretty structured. Yeah. Yeah. And for me, writing always follows like lots of reading.
Of course, right? I think it has to.
Yeah. And so but I very rarely sit down without knowing what I'm trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. Like a pretty good plan. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the status on your latest book?
I'm gonna go home and edit yesterday's stuff. Right. Right. Yeah. So I've got all 5 chapters are written. I need to put an introduction on top of it. and I want to go back through the whole thing again to fill it out a little bit on some things, right? I have a problem too. I think it's the general scholarly problem is I didn't stop reading, right, to write this thing. And now I just read 2 books this week. I was like, oh shit, I need to get this in.
Now
there,
I need
right?
to put this in there.
Yeah. And so at some point you just have to like let the thing go and say, this is as far as I'm going to take this, right?
Yeah. That's
no
a hard thing to do. Yeah, I hope people
yeah.
appreciate that. Like that is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing. We can come back to it, but I want to talk about the time management workout thing. Right?
Let's do it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've mentioned I've been working out in a commercial gym this week. It's so cold, right?
Just the Y, right?
The YMCA, yeah.
I used to when I was in college, I used to teach at a Y.
Did you really? Excellent.
Yeah.
So the YMCA in our town, I mean, it's a wonderful thing. Like it's just what it's done for my kids. I mean, the YMCA swim team, we've talked about that. It's so great for them.
Yep.
And now all my 3 oldest have all worked as lifeguards there, and it's just good folks, right? But so I had a day recently where I wanted to work out of the Y because I wanted to jog and they have a track, and I wanted to use my mace, okay, and I don't want to swim the mace in the kitchen, okay, and they have a gymnasium, I can do that in there, okay. So, but then it was pretty time crunched, right? And I know, like you say, I'm going to work this workout. I should be able to get this all done in like an hour, but then you put the drive in there and then you've got to like set stuff up and it's suddenly hour and a half, 2 hours,
Yeah.
So I went in with this like just ironclad plan how to do this, right? So the plan was I was going to do pull-up ladders. What I wanted to do was pull up ladders. I wanted to get a jog in and I wanted to get some work in with a mace. Okay.
It's a cool combo.
It's a cool combo. Yeah. So I go in and I want this like round trip an hour. Okay. Now the Y is like 3-4 blocks from my house. So I have that going for me. Okay. And so I wanted to see if I could do this. I literally started a stopwatch. Right. Okay. And actually I didn't start the stopwatch until I got to the Y. So a little cheat there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I started the stopwatch, and what I did for the first 12 minutes is I just did pull-ups in between I did warm-up drills.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I just jumped. Now maybe it's a record, so I jumped up in the bar, I did a single, right? And then I did, just did some mobility work, right? And then popped up, did a double, did some more mobility work. Okay. Yep. And then by the time I got to the end of the first ladder, but I'm going to switch grips to like over under or something like that. The mobility drills become ab drills, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And it builds and builds. And I ended up doing like a shit ton of pull-ups and ab stuff with the mace in that first 12 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I gave myself three minutes to transition. So I go up to the running track and I've got the mace and, clock's running. People
are looking at you.
People are looking at me.
Yeah.
I think I'm the guy with the funny ears anyway. Right? So, okay. And so, people around here know Madden's a little weird. Anyway. Mm-hmm. And so, I just did like, 10 360 swings, jog a lap, come back, 10 360 swings the other way, jog a lap, did that, right? That went on for, 45 minutes, right? Okay. Did a little cool down. I am in my car at 59:30.
Wow. Yeah. That actually reminds me.
It's a ton of work I did too in that hour.
Yeah. Right? That is how to get it done. We do not, this is actually something I miss at the Y, because we would go to the Y occasionally when we still lived in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Because let me tell you how much worth it is to have childcare at a gym. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And they had it. You're pretty sure they're going to be. It's not going to be creepy.
It's not going to be creepy or crazy or anything like that, right? And we go to a commercial gym now that has excellent childcare, but there's no track, which is weird to me. Yeah. But I love the track because I could bring a 28 in there. Yeah. I could just put it in the corner. I could put it in the corner. And what I would do is I would just. This is one of my favorite routines, and it comes from Pavel. I forget what it was. We were trying to talk about it over Messenger, but
was the snatch, pull up, jog?
Right. Yeah. So you could do swings if you want, but yeah, you do a set of pull-ups, and the Y had a pull-up bar on the track. Maybe it sounds like it's the same as yours, right? So there's a pull-up bar in the corner. You could do a set of pull-ups. It doesn't have to be many. It could be 1. It could be 5. Usually I wouldn't do more than 5. Jog. Eventually I'd come to the kettlebell, be like, all right, let's crank out a set of swings or snatches. Jog. So that, it's a light kind of recovery jog, and then pull-ups, jog, swings or snatches, pull-ups, jog. And that is an awesome routine. It's just a
exactly.
perfect routine.
And that workout
right?
I did the other day, how many calories do you think I burnt? I mean, I was moving my 180 pounds constantly for an hour.
Yeah, it's
You know, yeah,
significant, right?
yeah,
And you get the epoch and all that stuff too,
yeah.
right?
And so look at you. Do I have you?
We're back. Sorry
Cool.
about
Yeah,
that,
excellent.
gentle
No, no
listeners.
problem.
Yeah, so
No
you were
problem.
about to say something about something.
Yeah. So I mean, so I got all the right things in, right? I got my mobility work in. I did a warm up, right? Got some good pull-ups in, got some good core work using the mace, right? Got a jog in, right? Some good cardio, right? Got some strength work in. All the boxes are checked. All the boxes are checked. And it's an hour, right?
And
it's
you're not like systemically crushed either.
No, train that night. Train
Right.
jiu-jitsu that night.
Right.
Yeah.
You can still play jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And you think, okay, steel mace, weird implement, right? Okay. But go to the gym.
So you carry that thing in with you to
carry that in. Yeah, exactly.
Of course you do.
I'm inspired by it. I'm going to bring my 28 to the Y now.
Do they not have them there?
Their heaviest one is a 50 pounds.
Okay. Yeah. You got to
rubber coated, mind you.
Yeah.
Right. But you knew that, right?
Right.
And so, but let's say you don't want to bring your own gear. Okay. There's a dumbbell there. And let's say there's no track. Just put a dumbbell on a treadmill, right? And, jog in the treadmill 30, 40 seconds a minute, come out, do a set of snatches, right?
There you go.
Do a press, whatever, get back on, run that for, 30, 40 minutes, right? Before that, I would say I like the idea of like the warm up / pull up workout there, right? And plan it 100%, but plan it in a way that it's equipment neutral.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, yeah, let me give you this one for you and the gentle listeners. This was always good. So I had a crazy old bare knuckle boxing coach, right?
Yeah.
Brian Petty, very old school dude in the RKC. Actually died of liver cancer, so it was very unfortunate, but great coach, right? And the first kettlebell exercise I ever did was because of this dude. And it wasn't swings. It was double rack holds. That was the first.
Yes.
He's like, you're going to take these bells. And he handed me like 232 kilograms. And you're going to put them here. And you're going to go stand over there until I tell you otherwise. Right?
Yeah,
and like, this dude's huge. He actually
he
looks kind of like you,
like
crazy intimidating, right? Like, and then what you're going to do once you start squealing is you're going to put these bells down and you're just going to hit the bag. Bang, 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 bang. And then you're going to jump rope. And you're going to hold the bells. Then you're going to hit the bag. Then you're going to jump rope. And dude, he had all these, again, not workouts, but drills like this. Other ones he had the old school lead in. We're going to swing hard, 20 seconds. We're going to plank hard or do some type of static, something kind of clinchy, right? Planks or rack holds. And then we're going to skip rope for 60 to 90 seconds and just repeat and just repeat. And those drills, like, even if you're not a fighter, this turns into kind of the theme that you were playing on is like training kind of like you are. Will have a lot of benefits.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that kind of turned me on way back in 2005, 2006 with the kettlebell thing is, they had all these like military types doing this, right? And I've never had like the fantasy that I'm going to be the Navy SEAL warrior or anything like that. Okay, but look at these people; they're in the kind of shape you want to be in. Maybe how they work out is relevant to you, right? You know what I mean? So look at these fighters, right? They're in the kind of shape you want to be in. Maybe how they work out is relevant to you. Yeah. So I think I'm kind of fascinated now with this sort of getting the perfect hour workout, right? And I do think anyone who, so like you're already in great shape. Okay,
I try.
But you know what I mean? Like, okay, you've been working out a long time, stuff like that. So you probably don't need the hour workout. Okay,
my workouts are rarely an hour.
Yeah. Right. But I do think the idea that, you're going to get in shape, you're going to lose, all this weight and keep it off, stuff like that, doing like just 20 minutes of work 3 times a week, just look at like what the hunter-gatherer life was, right? I mean, we were not made to move for only 20 intense minutes 3 times a week. You know what I mean? So I do think that, and this I have no science, and this is my intuition, right? Is I think we do need to be able to move our bodies for an hour. And I think if you can move your body for an hour. Yeah. For an hour at least, then it's going to have great benefits for you, fitness and maybe even mentally and stuff like that.
Right. And let's also remember that, there's a difference between it always, for most skills, I don't want to say universally because I'm sure we can think of exceptions, but most of the time it's harder to get somewhere than it is to stay somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, when someone, like a friend or someone says, how do I lose weight? Right. And I say, well, first of all, it's going to take more time than you think. Well, one is diet. Okay. So one, diet, right? Okay. And two, the exercise piece of it, I think, is going to take more time than you think. Right. And so what I say is, I want you to get to where you can do something for an hour, 3 times a week, at least. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For an hour. And you don't have to be huffing and puffing all the time. I just want you on your feet doing something for an hour. Right. Now, once you get there, once you're in reasonably good shape, then that's a different story. Right. But just I think a functional human being should be able to do that. And if you get to the point you can do that, guess what? You will have lost a ton of weight.
Yes, you will. Yeah.
Yes.
And the diet, like people, yes, it's true. Like diet makes a big difference, but diet and exercise makes a bigger difference. And it seems to be a huge, so they did a study not too long ago on like people from The Biggest Loser. And of course, a lot of them gained a bunch of weight back, but they found that the ones who did the best afterwards were the ones who kept up with the exercise routine.
Really?
Right. And this makes sense, right? Because what does exercise do? Yes, it burns calories, but it also makes you feel better. Yes. Right. Like when you exercise, like it tends to you tend to want to eat better, right? You tend to
sense of agency
sleep
too.
better, right? Sense of agency. So there's just so many reasons that would have us expect exactly that, right? Mm-hmm.
And if I'm wrong on this, I'm sure that the gentle listener will correct us, but I think for me, if I go out and chug 20 miles on my bicycle, and I love riding my bicycle, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting close to like 2,000 calories there. Mm-hmm. Okay. I can do that in about an hour.
That's good.
Okay, maybe it's 1,000 calories is what I'm getting to.
It's a lot of calories.
It's a lot of calories. So say it's only 1,000. Okay. That is half of what I eat in a day. I'm going to burn in that hour. Okay. So I do think the good old fashioned, running, cycling, swimming, is not the cool thing in the fitness world anymore. Right.
No, it's not cool at all.
Not cool at all. Right. Because we want to say you can,
but we're going to make it cool. We're going to make it cool.
Yeah. Because we want to say you can get in shape in 10 minutes. Right.
Right.
And there is the afterburn effect and all that stuff. But I don't know how to really program my afterburn in when I'm losing weight or something like that. But I do know I just burnt 1,500 calories on a 25-mile bike ride.
Pure butter.
Yeah. Pure butter. You know what I mean? I know that, and I can plan my diet according to that.
Right. Yeah. And I really, obviously I like the, intense stuff, kind of hanging out on the extremes, right? Yeah. So you do the intense heavy lifting, the metabolic hits, whatever. And then the other extreme would be lots of walking, right? Lots of walking. But that doesn't mean that there isn't tons of value, and there is in the middle, right?
Yes. Middle gear.
To me, it's just a matter of allocation and proportion. That's it, right? So there's certain specific benefits that you get and that I love of just going for an extended, moderate intensity endurance effort, especially when the weather's there's a few things that I enjoy as much as when the weather's actually nice in Wisconsin, which is for 20 minutes a year, where just going out, man, just for a long run, occasionally I actually love interval running, which is, okay, we'll hit a sprint, and I tend to not be very structured about it. A lot of it is just kind of, I feel sprint. If I see a hill, I'll sprint it, then I'll jog, then I'll walk for a bit, sprint again, jog, walk for a bit. And then, once I kind of feel okay, the sprinting is good. Maybe it's 6 rounds or whatever like that. Nothing crazy. Then I'll just keep with the extended jog for a while. Yeah. And few things make me feel so good. Right.
And leave your fitness app at home. Don't count the damn steps, right? Leave
unnecessary.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Even leave the watch room. Just go out and pick a landmark and jog to it and jog back.
Look at the trees, listen to the
trees. Yeah. And, but if you do the math after the fact, you'll find you have just burnt a ton of butter.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite things to do. So I live in funny enough, I live in the same neighborhood as my dad. So we moved back to Wisconsin. My dad lives a street over, right?
Yeah, which may very well be the neighborhood my dad grew up in, actually.
Yeah, well, we'll have to figure that out, right? I'm not telling the gentle listeners where it is.
No,
any of you creeps showing up at my house.
Exactly. Again.
But, again. But we'll coordinate that after. But my dad's got a pool in his at his house, which is nice because I just like I'll go for this run, whatever, and I'll just totally just like finish off by just diving in and swimming around. And occasionally I'll bring the kettlebells and do the swing routine. So yeah, I'm a big fan of like, you know, for me it's almost always a both and with a lot of this stuff. Like everything we've talked about plus everything we're talking about. Like there's room and there's benefit for all this stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think this is one of the problems with the fitness industry is, you know, to make it, you got to brand something, right? So you basically have to say there's one thing and I have it, and then you know,
right? And that's where I've cheated because I'm like I have it as a generalist. So that means I can
exactly, good cheat,
totally hack that one,
you know what I mean, and I think that's really healthy though. I mean it fits with the kind of this basic Aristotelian worldview I have,
and it's not being cheap. Like it's like reflecting on like what I really think is right and what I do.
Right.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Exactly. But it also gives me an excuse to like have you on where we can talk about kettlebell swings and Nietzsche. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. But I mean, once again, I mean, so, you know, human life is not that compartmentalized, right? I mean, things spill over into each other, right? And there are connections. And I do think, you know, what you think philosophically is going to reflect in how you approach fitness and stuff like that. I really do. Right. And vice versa. Right.
Oh yeah. 100%. Right. Like I've gone through enough worldview shifts to experience that. Like it really does play a part.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I mean, I guess like an important, like kind of takeaway on a lot of the stuff I think for people is to really lighten up. Okay. Like it's there isn't this sort of absolute right answer for fitness. Okay. Right. And if you're doing something, right, you're doing better now than like most of us, right? You know, and I don't mean to like make it competitive, right? But you're at least pushing back against entropy in some way, right? Whereas most of our brethren have surrendered to entropy, right? You know,
yeah. Dude, that's a great note, I think, to end on there. What's coming down your pipeline? Obviously we're going to be bugging you to get back on the podcast. Soon, but what do you got? You're wrapping up this book.
Wrapping the book up. Now just talking about it, I think I should come out with like, you know, 5 no-brainer 1-hour workouts you can pull off in a commercial gym.
Dude, there's your like little opt-in ebook.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that would be a pretty cool thing, right?
Yeah, gentle listeners.
Gentle listeners, have an ear out. Yeah. You know what I mean? So 5. Here's 5.
Well, hey, how about this? How about you start putting that together, and we'll tease it in our next conversation?
Yes.
We'll put some of it out.
Yeah, I like that. That'll be fun. So yeah, we'll see if we can throw that together. Right.
Sweet. All right, listeners. Thank you much, Jim. Any final words for them?
No, thanks, man. A shout out to Tyler Sapala, a gentle listener of the podcast, and a Benedictine College alumnus, right?
Cheers, Tyler.
Who reached out and showed up at my doorstep this weekend. So, you know, there are.
This is why we don't give our address on the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but no, it was a lovely conversation with you, Tyler. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. And thank all the rest of you. Chat to you next time.